Hey Candle friends, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, well hello, I'm Ashley. I am the owner of Mrs. Frizz & Co., a small batch handcrafted candle business located in Ontario, Canada. On this channel, I ramble about making products and about owning your own small handcrafted brand. So if that's something that interests you, I would love for you to hit subscribe and come back for the next one. Today, we continue on with our Candle Business Basics Miniseries. Yay! Okay, we are going over step by step all the important things that you need to launch a candle business. This is a good place to start. You know, if you haven't launched yet, if you're thinking about launching, if you're just looking for a new business idea, people like candles. So, full disclosure, most of my information pertains to Canada because that's where I live and that's where my experience personally comes from. Today's a little bit more generic though, so buckle up, overseas friends. Today we are talking about how much product you actually need to launch your business. So many candle makers ask me how many candles they need for a launch or a in-person market, and spoiler, it's not one of everything. I've been there pouring 20 cents, running out of space, and still somehow not having the candle that your customer is looking for. Listen, let's talk about it. Let's break it down, and hopefully this video will help you start knowing exactly what to make and not waste any money or time, because time is money. Okay, let's get into it. So the first thing we need to determine is, where are you selling your candles? Is it in-person markets? Is it an online launch? Are you looking to fulfill wholesale orders? Each one has different expectations. Yes. Okay, so let's talk about markets first. I would suggest starting with 3 to 5 of each scent of your candles. I think that's a good place to start. Now, depending on how big your space at the market is, we don't want to have too much. We're also likely having to haul our product there from our car. Most markets that I do, with the exception of my farmer's market, my farmer's market is the only market where I'm allowed to actually drive to my spot. Mostly all the other markets that I do, I have a wagon and I am wagoning everything back and forth, back and forth. And when you have to bring like tables and stuff with you, having way too much product is the worst, especially at the end of the day if you don't sell everything and then you're stuck hauling all that product back to your car. So it's nice. I mean, you don't have to go to the gym that night, but at the same time, it's a lot of work, and don't put that on yourself. I think 3 to 5 is a good solid number to start with. If you have some bestseller scents, bring a few more of those. Keep it focused. Bring scents that either sell or you think have a high probability of selling. You do not have to bring every candle you have ever poured. I used to make this mistake, and also it made my setup look ridiculous because I had so many different vessels. I had different labels, like everything was just different because I was still evolving because it was so early on. But I didn't realize that I didn't have to bring every candle I'd ever poured to the market with me. So learn from my mistakes. The next thing I would say is, some people are funny about this, having testers. I know some candle makers like to have a specific tester. I don't. I will bring my candles, I will put them up on display, and basically whatever one's in front, pick it up and smell it. That is how I operate. And typically if they smell it, that's the one that they're going to take home anyways. So if you are somebody though who likes to have a specific candle as your tester, keep those in a separate box. Maybe those are the only candles you put out to display, because I will tell you that if you have candles on your table and you don't want people opening them up and smelling them, they're going to. So plan accordingly. I think the thing with markets is it's definitely a bit of trial and error. And different markets are going to hit differently. You're going to get different crowds. When I do my farmer's market, I have all my regulars. I know what they're after. Everything above and beyond that is kind of a guessing game. If I'm doing a new market where especially if it's one I've never done before, it is very easy to over or under bring. So it is a lot of trial and error, sadly. But I do think a good rule of thumb when you're first starting and you don't know what to expect, it is way better to leave a market having sold out of product versus leaving a market with a wagon full of product. So that's markets. What about online launches? Again, this is going to depend on how many people are following you. You know, if this is our first time launching something on our website, I would say having 6 to 12 of each scent is more than enough to get started. As much as I want to tell people that when you hit like live on your website and you launch your first candles and you are just waiting for them to be sold out in seconds because that's what all the people on the interwebs tell you. I mean, at least for me, that's not what happened. It took a while for me to gain any traction on my website. And that's even after having people in person love my product and everybody wants to know, do you have a website and this and that. Like it took a while for people to start ordering from my website. So I think if online is the way that you are going, I think having 6 to 12 of each scent to start, you can re-up, like that doesn't have to be it. It's not that you sell 12 candles and then you're like, well, that scent's gone forever. Do a relaunch. Like people love that. And it's a great way to build hype. Especially if you are looking to be able to advertise, you know, oh, we sold out and this and that. Selling out of 12 candles is a lot easier than selling out of 100 candles. So I would definitely start small. They're so much easier to restock than a face-to-face customer when you're at a market and somebody wants to buy something and you're out of it. Ooh, sorry, I'll be back in 2 weeks. Or, you know, whereas online you can say, sure, won't be ready to ship for 2 weeks. You know, are people okay with that? You can launch limited edition drops, which is going to gain more buzz, and that's what you're looking for. So I think there's a lot more flexibility with online shopping and with having your website be kind of your number one sales strategy. So don't feel like you need to pour large amounts of your candles unless you don't have time to be pouring, which can be an issue for some people. But like for me personally, I pour once a month and sometimes even a little bit more than that, depending on what I have going on and depending on what I sell out of. But for me, I like to take a day, and that means like 8 to 10 hours of strictly making product. I will say that I am often re-upping on like car fresheners and room sprays, but candles are a little bit more tedious to make, and that's why I like to dedicate an entire day to doing it once a month and then it's done. So having an idea of where you're going to be selling the products definitely helps give you a guideline of how many you're going to need. So if you're somebody who is selling wholesale to start, again, I would say 6 to 12 is a solid number of each scent to have on hand. And what I would definitely do is, because again, wholesale is another thing where you have a lot more flexibility. You are going to have a line sheet that you are going to provide. You can tell them on that line sheet, you know, how long it takes to get an order. So it's very easy to tell them that, you know, from date of order, it takes 2 weeks for me to deliver the product. So if they wanted more than 6 to 12, you can easily pour in that amount of time. The nice thing about having 6 to 12 is, especially if you're going in person to meet with these potential wholesale customers, having items to show them, having items to let them smell, often leaving product behind for them to kind of mull over and decide if it's fit for their retail space or whatever. I would say that give yourself a little extra time, depending on how long you like your candles to cure for. I know a lot of people say 2 weeks. I'm a week girly. I think that after 7 days, we're good to go. But I know a lot of people who use strictly soy say 2 weeks, sometimes longer. I would just make sure that you mention a delivery time so that they are aware that when they sign on the dotted line, you will deliver the product in 3 weeks. You know, if you have a 2 week cure time, give yourself a little bit of extra time. But yeah, and again, a lot of people think like, oh, I want to sell wholesale, I need to have 500 candles in my garage. And that's not the case. The beautiful thing about being a small business owner is that you can create your own rules. I don't ever want to be staring at a million candles. You know, the point of me having candles is to sell them. And if I'm just looking at that many of them, it means that I am not selling them. The other thing for me is that I am a small batch maker. So my numbers, typically I will make 25 sometimes 24, depending on what I'm doing. And that's just because my cases that I have to carry my candles have 24 spots in them. But I like to make 24, sometimes 50 candles at one time of each scent. Now, listen, I also work, like a seasonal launch for me is always 4 scents. And then after that, I usually have another 1 to 2 very limited edition scents that I'll do. So if I'm batching 50 candles of each scent, then I'm already looking at a day of making over 200 candles, plus possibly another 100 if I'm doing those other 2 small batches. Plus I have a signature line, and my signature line I always stock in 24 candles at a time. So that's what I'm saying. I need a day, and it's a long day, and sometimes I do have 600 candles sitting in my garage, but thankfully they don't sit there for that long. But yeah, that is definitely not how I started. And I'm micro, like in comparison to some of these other candle makers that I see who are pouring 200 candles of 1 scent. And I'm like, wow, like that's a lot of pumpkin spice at one time. But obviously that's where we all would like to eventually be, I would imagine. I mean, I don't know if I would, but probably most people would. I kind of like the little niche that I have right now where I'm at in my numbers. But all of that to say, a rambly way of telling you that is how many candles I think you need. And you are probably going to have more than you need initially. And much like everything in the candle game, it is a lot of trial and error to figure out what's going to work for us and what's going to work for our brand. And one more little note, make sure you track everything. Because I didn't do that when I first started. And yeah, it's a big waste of time and money. And this is where I can save you a couple bucks. Track absolutely everything, because you might think that a candle that you have been making is selling like hotcakes. But if you actually went and looked at your inventory, you'd be like, oh, just kidding. It's not. And you might think that another candle that you have is barely moving. And then if you actually went and looked at the numbers, you'd find out that it's probably one of your best sellers. Tracking everything is going to give us a clear line as to what is moving, what is not. We are always going to I'm in the process right now of overhauling my signature collection, because I have some candles that like don't really move. And not to say that they never move, but they're not nearly as popular as some of their counterparts. And I don't want to sit on inventory. So until I get my signature collection perfect, where everything is turning over relatively quickly, I'm going to keep adjusting it. And that has been something that I have had to learn by tracking everything that I am making, everything that I am selling. Also, everything that you give away, because that is something that I often neglect to note. But if I give people candles to test, candles as a gift, you need to track that, because you could also think like, oh my goodness, that candle's so popular now. But then it turns out that no, it's not. It's just because you give it to everybody because you're not selling them. Candle making is very much like pasta making. You're gonna have too much if you don't measure it. Okay, so let's just kibosh that off the hop. So guys, I think that's it for today. I hope you found this video a little bit helpful. I know it's kind of annoying when I'm like, I'm going to tell you how many candles to make. And then I'm like, well, you could make this many candles, or you could make this many candles. Trial and error. But that is very much how candle making is. And I mean, the earlier you understand that, the easier this whole process is going to be for you. I think that the one thing we can all agree on is we don't want to sit on product. So I would definitely start smaller and then let's scale upwards, because that's going to be the ultimate goal. I would love to know in the comments below, do you have a magical number when it comes to your batches? What is that number? Because I am always curious. And if you have any other questions or comments, you know where to leave them. Oh, and next week for our Candle Business Basics, I always have to say it slowly because it's kind of a tongue twister and often I forget what I called it. But next week, we're going to talk about pricing our candles, which I already have a video about pricing. I will link that, but this one, we're going to get a little bit more in depth with it. And I'm going to give you a very basic calculation so that you are pricing your candles to make a profit and to not undervalue your time. Okay. So I will see you guys next Friday for that one. And until then, have a great week. Bye, candle friends.